Oh, alright. Hey, what's up? I'm going to be doing a review again. This is actually for something that's pretty cool. It's just barely hitting the market. A lot of sellers are actually don't even have it unless you actually go to greatskate.com. So it's kind of neat to be one of the the first people to actually get these before not even Ice Warehouse has these. I actually emailed a couple of the guys who do reviews at Ice Warehouse, like Tyson, and a couple of the other guys like Mike, whatever that dude's name is. I keep forgetting it. Sorry, man, my bad. And they said they're not going to be reviewing these at least until the end of September, if that, maybe later on. So it's kind of neat. This, I get to review something that is so brand new that nobody actually has it yet. So, all right, here we go. Today we're going to be reviewing the Warrior franchise shin guards. These are 15-inch. These are Warrior's most elite shin guards that they have out at the moment. These are probably some of the most top-notch shin guards I've actually ever owned. So these are kind of a treat to myself because of the fact that I keep taking pucks off the shin guards that I'm using right now. I switched over from Bauer Supremes from back in the zero lines, the 30, the 50, 70, and 190. So this is kind of a treat since I've had mine for so long. They were starting to break down so bad that the plastic was actually starting to bow out whenever I took a puck or a slash. You'd actually feel the plastic just kind of move and come in more direct contact with you, which is, once the plastic starts doing that, it's actually very, very unsafe. Well, these are definitely safe. These are very, very protective. Tomorrow night I'll be skating again, so it'll be about my fourth or fifth time. I think fifth time. Yeah, that sounds about right. Since since I got these, that I'm going to use these. And so let's go ahead and break into them. Now, one thing that's really cool, these are brand new. Obviously, they had them on pre-order back in March, and I just barely the order was so backed up that I just barely got mine in the middle of June. So this is kind of a really cool treat. So let's start it off. As far as ventilation, these have about 6 holes, throughout the shin part, and 2 big old holes over here at the knee part, and it's got some nice little exhaust as well. These are very protective. They have very many segmentations and dips right here, which actually helps take away from a lot of the impact, and helps kind of distribute the impact force throughout the entire shin guard without having it shake or anything like that, or bow out or anything. Now let's see, as far as as far as the protection, I did have my friends skate around on me and hit me in the front and hit me on the sides, which we'll get to here in a second. And with the front, and I also did take a couple of spills on purpose, like skating and then jumping forward and landing on my knees to see what the shock would feel like. And these are very responsive, very protective as far as that. Now this is your typical 2-piece shell design. It's got the bottom part segmented with the knee cradle, the kneecap at the top, which is tied into the inside liner as well. And we'll get to the inside liner here in a second, and I'll explain to you why it's so amazing, why it feels so great. Now, if you know anything about Warrior, you know that their creeper and their franchise gloves are top notch. And one thing that you always see so distinguished about Warrior is they use the yellow liner. Hey, look at that. These have the yellow silver shield liner. So this is kind of cool, and obviously this is going to be a removable liner. What do you say about that? So it's kind of cool. Let me go ahead and explain it a little bit. This is the knee part. This is the knee cradle. Obviously, they even went as far as writing it on that for all of you people who can't read. This has some really nice foams to it. It literally has no smell to it, which is fantastic, of course. And I've used it already a couple of times. They're actually starting to show a little bit of you can tell that it's been used. Right at the top over here, this segmentation, it's a nice, thick, heavy foam. It's got a memory foam feel to it. The side has just your standard little foam. And what's really cool about these, they use the moisture wicking liner on the inside. You see obviously the silver shield on gloves, and on the back It actually is, it's the type of sponge or the type of mesh that actually just lets it slide, lets your sweat slide right off. I actually have seen, I have lifted up my socks so I could see the exhaust of my sweat, and I do actually see at the bottom of the shin guard my sweat actually, dripping off. Now, as far as the part that comes into contact with the shin, look at that. It's also got the ventilation holes right there. I actually do feel the wind going through the shin guards, which is kind of nice. It really cools you down. And this is called the anti-torsion shin wrap over here, because it actually, it's kind of odd. Instead of being, one straight pad right there like that, it actually, it's kind of like this. When you put it on, it's kind of like that. So it actually, catches on really well. As far as the foams, it's got some very nice, thick, heavy foams on there. Very, very comfortable, very, very protective. They really take away a lot of the shock, which is something that, it's really hard to see in a lot of shin guards, unless you're thinking maybe Jofa Pros or anything with the JDP technology. I don't know if Warrior did copy the JDP, but, if they did a good job with this. This really, really helps distribute a lot of the shock, really helps, distribute a lot of the, would cause a lot of pain, especially, with most shin guards. But of course, the segmentations over here obviously help a lot as well. Now, if you've seen some of the earlier Warrior shin guards, you also saw a lot of this, the calf protection on the side, which is kind of nice because, for some odd reason, I seem to be one of those unlucky people that take a lot of pucks on the outside of the leg and a lot of pucks on the knee part of the shin guard. So it's got this, see this little W right here. It's actually a PVC and foam insert right here. So it's actually pretty stiff, and it just kind of floats right there and protects the side of your knee. And then this part over here, which is attached to this strap, that kind of will wrap around your leg. It's got these. These are PVC inserts, as well as a very, very thick foam. On the inside, it's got a memory foam type of feel. On the outside, it's got a very, very high density foam, which is fantastic. It kind of reminds me of the foams on a helmet, but a little bit softer, Now, as far as the this little part right here, I always keep forgetting what this is. Anyway, I know a lot of people really, really like to rip these out, and when you do, on shin guards, they come attached up here. So, you actually have to rip the shin guard or cut it out, and actually damaging the shin guard right here. It's actually attached with a little piece of elastic. Why? Because it's got Velcro on it. You can actually stretch it out, and it Velcros, and you can have the extra extension, or you can tuck it down like I do, and it's all, nice and segmented away, away from getting in the way, I guess, which is kind of nice because I don't like to, damage my gear by cutting things out. Now, as far as the inside liner, below the liner that makes contact with your knee, is another liner. Of course, this one is this one's kind of like a cradle, like a web cradle type of thing. Before you actually connect with the shin guard, like most shin guards, of course. And this one is actually a really, really thick padding. So it really does take away from a lot of the shock from when you do fall or take shots. It's very thick, very meaty, and then on the sides it's got the extra padding, of course. And then right down the middle it's got all the holes for ventilation that go, with the outside of the shin guard. The inside of the leg also has a nice little padding right here. It's not going to be as awesome as the one on the side, but it's going to have a nice little thick padding that's very, very protective as well. One thing that I really like about these is the, this little part right here that meets the kneecap. It's actually pretty nice and wide. I love that part because a lot of shin guards are really, really close, and the closer they are, you'll take a hit right here, and you'll really feel it. When you take a shot or or a knee right here, it'll actually kind of bounce around the shin and take away a lot of the shock from what would be a very, very painful thing. As far as the strapping system, I like the strapping system, but I'm not a very big fan of this. Well, I am, but I'll explain to you in a second. It's got the sling wrap, which a lot of people are really, really come to love. I really do like it. It's got a nice little wrap to it. It feels a lot better than the little crappy single, the single little straps that after a while they just fray out. Then of course it's got the big old 2.5 inch strap on the, right at the calf. The only thing that bothers me is when I'm skating, this kind of comes up a little bit because I flop my tongues. So this is going to be a lot of free motion. So one thing that I would have really have liked is another, maybe a little baby strap right here. That would have been a really, really good one. But that's why you modify your own gear. If it's good enough for the pros to modify, you can do it yourself. So as far as looks, these are pretty nice. It's got a nice little paint job. It's mainly a white shin guard, which I really, really like. It's got a nice little leather segmentation down here for, for everything that meets down there. It looks solid. It doesn't look too flashy. I don't like flashy shin guards, and these look really nice, very protective, very solid. But whatever, they're going to be covered by socks, so it's not like it matters really. As far as protection, I give these 5 out of 5 because it just feels really good. You feel really comfortable. It's not an anatomical fitting shape or a kinetic fitting like the Reebok or the CCM, where everything is bowed out right here, which actually kind of makes my legs hurt. I'm not trying to complain, but go for the rest of us. Go with the old Jofa feel at least. And these kind of do give a little bit of the old Jofa feel and some of the new protection to it as well. I mean, not saying Jofa's outdated, but Jofa's awesome. Let's see. Now, as far as ventilation, these are the most ventilated shin guards I've ever felt. I'm skating and I feel the wind entering the shin guard, keeping my leg nice and cool. I don't really have any complaints about this. I actually really love this. It's probably the best 94 bucks I ever spend. You can actually go ahead and buy them right now at Great Skate. They'll be at your house within about 10 days. Let's see. As far as durability, I don't see any fraying. I don't see anything being broken down after 5 skates of me trying to damage them to see if they're good enough or not. And if you're switching over from, say, the Supreme line from Bauer, or something, fitting similar to that, or maybe say the Vapor line as well from Bauer, these will make a great fit. It'll be true to size. So if you're using a 15 like I am in Bauer, you're going to be using a 15 in Warrior. If you're using a 16 with say Graph or with Reebok Jofa, you're gonna maybe use a 16 as well for these. It really depends. When I use Reebok, I have to use a 16. When I use Supreme or these, I have to use a 15. So it really just depends on your leg and what type of skating style you have, and of course what you do with your skates. Do you tuck the tongues in? Do you keep them out? I prefer to flop, like I said. I feel more comfortable that way whenever I do tuck them in, and I actually, it doesn't feel, the skating doesn't feel right. So these are perfect for that. As far as style, whatever, I don't really care about that. So, you can go somewhere else if you want for that. So as far as protection, durability, and feel, these are probably one of the best top of the line shin guards I've ever used, and I would definitely recommend this for anyone who has the money to spare, if you don't want to go and spend about $200 for something else. So go ahead and definitely try these. Bauer and Reebok don't just make the best ones. These guys are actually doing a pretty decent job, actually more than just a decent job, a very, very good job. So this is Warrior franchise shin guards. Take care.